Sup, this is Greggatron. Alright, this video is about Utes. Young Utes. Two Utes. I'm sorry, two what? What? Two what? What was that word? Two what? What word? Did you say Utes? Yeah, the two Utes. What is a Ute? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The two youths. Alright, this video is about Utes. So I was in the barbershop last weekend, and this lady, she comes in with her kid. This kid is a baby. Alright. And I notice the mom has a phone, and the baby has a phone. Big surprise. And I talked about this years ago, back when kids were on tablets. Well, now the tablet is way out the window. Now it's just straight to cell phones. Anyway, the mom is glued to her phone, and the baby or toddler, he might have been two. Two, I'm still going to call you a baby. The 2-year-old toddler baby, he's glued to his phone as well. Meanwhile, there's another barber over here cutting somebody else, and that guy's son, the customer's son, he had a little kid close to the same age, also with a phone in his hand. I'm thinking, wow, this is crazy. And I'm wondering in my head, like, am I the only adult in this room who thinks this is crazy? Like, this is insane? And a lot of times at the barbershop, when I'm waiting for my turn, I try to stay off my phone. I might watch the TV, the little music videos, or they'll have on Netflix or YouTube or something. And some of that stuff is interesting on TV. But even if I'm not watching TV, I'll try to just focus on what's going on in my own head. Because you're doing nothing but sitting and waiting. Unless if I'm talking stuff to other people. And another reason why, well, a reason why in the first place, why I do that is there's so many people today on phones. So I'm like, to the point where I'm like an anti-phone person, just to fight the machine, to be against phones because everybody's doing it. Well, let's get back to this baby, this child. I'm thinking, you know how you think in your head and you like judge people? You're not trying to judge them, but you're low-key judging. I'm thinking like, wow, this baby doesn't stand a chance. This baby, and I see this a lot, not just in the barbershop, but these babies, man, their mind is just being destroyed with these phones. Not in the sense that there's bad stuff on the phone, and there is, but let's just say you have a phone as a baby and everything is rated G. Everything is on the up and up. There's no mess on there, just kid stuff. It's still not a good thing for your brain, man, because you're addicted to the phone now. And you guys all know this. But it's like, this baby, he was like this, like glued to it. I'm like, wow, that's so sad. Because it's going to mess up your vision, for one. Two, your brain isn't even developed till you're 25, right? So when you put this phone in this baby's face, doesn't that have an effect on your mind? Like, you're not going to be able to play with other kids. You're not going to be able to have a conversation with other kids. you won't even be able to have a normal relationship with people. When I say normal, just y'all know what I'm saying. How crazy is that when you grow up to be a, adolescent, you've been on the phone for your entire life. I made a video a while ago called, I think it was Tablets Over Toys, because this is right around the time when Toys R Us was going out of business or they were bankrupt or something. Well, I'm like, kids don't have toys anymore. When I see kids playing outside, when I see kids on their bicycles, I'm like shocked. I'm blown away. But these kids, man, they don't have toys. Their parents don't buy them toys. I'm like, how are you a parent and you can buy $1,000 phone for a baby, but you can't buy a $10 Superman? You know what I'm saying? You remember that movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith and his son? Remember how that little boy loved that Captain America so much? Like, he loved that Captain America. And when he lost it, he like freaked out. He loved him some Captain America. He loved that toy. That's replaced with technology. Technology, man, these phones, they're going to want to be on that stuff the minute they wake up. And then they're going to be on that stuff the minute before they go to bed. And when it is bedtime. It's crazy. We had a phone. I had my first phone when I was in 8th grade, but it was a flip phone. Nothing like this smartphone. Nothing like it. Not even close. But it's not good. It's an addiction. These parents don't even realize you're destroying your kids by giving them the phone at such an early age. And another thing, they're not going to listen to you as a parent either. Clean your room, son. I'm not cleaning my room. I'm playing on TikTok. I'm playing on Instagram. When I was a kid, people had, remember Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance? I had different homies who had those, a Game Boy Color. But I don't remember them being addicted to Game Boys. You know what I'm saying? Because we had so many toys. We had so many toys that I started collecting toys. Me and my brothers, our dad gave us so many toys when we were growing up. It got to the point where when we got older, like teenage years, we didn't play with them anymore. We're too big. We're too old. But my dad, when it was Christmas time, he would continue to get us stuff. So we ended up just keeping them as collector's items. Or like, we go to KB Toys and get different things. Whereas that stuff is worth a lot of money now. So thanks to my dad, I just became a collector with stuff like this. And stuff you've seen in my other videos. But that's a hobby. That's something, cool, quote unquote. But if you have a phone, that's gone now. I had a buddy growing up. We're still buddies to this day. He knows who he is. We were like 11, 12, 13. He always had a Rubik's Cube with him. Every time we saw him, he used to carry it in his pocket. He had a Rubik's Cube. My brother at one point, he had a dual, what's that called? The dual disc from Yu-Gi-Oh! A dual disc. We used to go over to people's houses and duel Yu-Gi-Oh! We had kids before that collecting Pokemon cards. That was fun. We used to collect Dragon Ball Z cards. The X-Men movie cards. I think Spider-Man had his own movie cards. I remember like Walgreens. They had that stuff. Toys R Us definitely had that stuff. Walmart had that stuff. Different packs or different tins. GameStop had that stuff. It was fun to collect stuff as a kid. We used to trade back and forth at school, talk about that stuff at school. That's another difference between us from back then and the kids today. I talked about interacting with people. Today's children, they're not going to know how to interact with one another because they don't do anything but sit on the phone. So how are you going to find a common interest with other kids if the only interest you have is the phone? That's deep. Let me repeat that. How are you going to find common interest with other kids when the only interest you have is the phone? What are you going to do? Say, hey, I like your phone. What kind of phone is that? Oh, it's an iPhone 42. What do you got? I still have the iPhone 37. Oh, let's become friends now. Ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody establishing no friendship over phones. Unless if it's like a friendship where you meet online or something. Which people do that too. Adults do that, which that's a different topic. My point is, when I was a kid, we established friendships off Dragon Ball Z, off Yu-Gi-Oh. When I was a kid in second grade, I was talking to this girl, and she was like, well, no, that wasn't even it. She was talking to these other girls about the Powerpuff Girls, and I'm just in the background, like, kind of ear hustling. But I can't help but listen, and I'm like, what's that? And she's like, you don't know what the Powerpuff Girls is? It's on Cartoon Network. And this is back when I was still watching Nick. Y'all remember Nick, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, all that good stuff. Real Monsters, Kenan and Kel. That's what I'm watching. Cat Dog. So I said, what's Cartoon Network? And she's like, you don't know what Cartoon Network is? It's on channel. I'm not going to say what channel it was on because I don't want to dox where I live. She's like, it's on channel such and such. I was like, what? Yeah, you need to watch it. It comes on after school. I'm like, whoa. Like, this girl, she's really into this. I have no clue what it is. Man, I go home that day, and I'm in the second grade, like I said, meaning I'm like 8. I go home, flip to that channel, and they have the wildest cartoons. Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog. What? And then when I got a little bit older, 3rd and 4th grade, that's when I started watching Toonami on Cartoon Network. And then I met my homies in class who just happened to like Dragon Ball Z, like me. We became friends off of that. And we're still friends to this day. But I'll never forget that girl in class. I ain't gonna say her name. Shout out to her. I will never forget when she said, you don't know what the Powerpuff Girls is? It's on Cartoon Network. Like, that's how kids used to talk and communicate and play. Because I remember they were doing their little dollhouse play. And I wanted no part in that. I just wanted to know what the Powerpuff Girls was. Just to find out now, it ended up being one of my favorite cartoons. Then I found out the same dude who made Dexter's Laboratory made that show. Dexter was my boy. Dexter and Courage, those were my favorite two. Well, then he came out with Samurai Jack later on. And then recently he came out, this guy's name is Jindy Teravasky. It's hard to pronounce his name. Well, recently he came out with a show called Primal. Yeah, Primal. That's a really good one. He made Symbiotic Titan, and there's another one he made on HBO Max. I can't remember the title. but it's really good. My point is, Cartoon Network had a lot of good shows, and low key, Cartoon Network actually brought kids together. Like, we used to go to each other's house, different people's house, and watch that stuff together. We used to actually have tapes of that stuff. I know I'm a hypocrite. I'm talking about how bad technology is. Now I'm talking about how fun it was. My point is, we used the technology in the right way. We would have tapes, and we would have sleepovers, and our friends would bring tapes to our house, and or DVDs whenever we had a DVD player. We had a VHS machine and, well, I'm sorry, a VCR. Dang. We had a VCR. I said a VHS machine. We had a VCR and a DVD player in the same box from Walmart. I remember thinking that was the stuff. That was like the best invention ever. So we were watching DVDs when we wanted to and tapes when we still wanted to. And we had friends who would come over, spend the night, and watch that stuff with us all night. We would have like Dragon Ball Z marathons. This is all because we interacted with each other. And don't forget, we had toys. So we would take our toys to our friend's house or vice versa. I mean, we played outside. I was born in 92. So my generation was split 3 ways. 1/3 of the time we were outside, 1/3 of the time we were playing video games, and the other third we were playing with toys. So we were either playing with toys, video games, or outside. Or you could shuffle that around. It might not be 33.33%, but we had a good balance of toys and outside time. We could take our toys outside with us. Like, I just don't see these kids doing that with a cell phone, man. Like, you have a phone, but you're not going to call up your friend on that phone and say, hey, you want to come over and play? No, because you're already playing. You're playing on the phone. You got FaceTime and everything. We used to have to call each other's house, ask the parents, hey, can so-and-so come over? Is it okay with your mom? We needed phone etiquette. My mom was big on that. If we had a friend who called the house and didn't say, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, this is so-and-so from school. Is Greg there? If you didn't come like that, my mom would be like, this person needs to learn how to talk. You couldn't just say, hello, is Greg there? No, that was a no-no. All that's gone now. The cell phone eliminates everything I just said. Everything. It's crazy. Playing basketball with your friends. Going to your friend's house. We used to go over people's house, bring DVDs or games, and play that stuff for hours, but we were together. You know what I mean? Having sleepovers, man. That was the best. These cell phone babies, I highly doubt they'll experience half of what we did. And I'm only in my 30s. Parents, don't give your kids phones. Not at the age of 2 or 3. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because what's going to happen is you're turning your own kid into a zombie. You, the parent, when you're glued to your phone, you're now a zombie. Because you're neglecting your kids, for one. Well, now your kids are going to neglect you back because your kids are on their phones. And don't have multiple kids with multiple phones. Because now they're going to be fighting over the phones. We used to play with Beanie Babies. We used to play with stuffed animals. You guys remember Digimon? Digimon, digital monsters. Digimon are the champions. We used to make the Beanie Babies like Digimon. And they would evolve into different, bigger stuffed animals. Or we would even make the stuffed animals like the enemy to the toys, the action figures. We had fun. When it comes to toys, we had fun. 90s kids used to have yo-yos. Remember the yo-yo? I wasn't that good at the yo-yo. But we had kids at school who had a yo-yo. Yeah. I told you about my Rubik's Cube buddy. There was so much stuff back then. The tech decks, the little skateboard thing. The most recent thing was fidget spinners, but those didn't last long. But we had so much. We had toys at Burger King. My boy. We had toys at McDonald's. So Burger King, it was called the Big Kids Meal. There'd be a toy in there. The Men in Black toys. The Kirby toys. Beanie Babies. And then McDonald's, they were called Happy Meals. The Happy Meals came with a Happy Meal toy. There was like a Game Boy thing. It wasn't an actual Game Boy, but it was a Game Boy toy that looked like a Game Boy, and it was Pokemon related. And when you open up the back, there was some type of Pokemon inside of it, and you could switch them out and whatever. But that's the type of stuff I miss. And when you collected stuff like that as a kid, you could show it to your friends, and that encouraged those kids to tell their parents, hey, can we go to Burger King? Can we go to Burger King? Because I want that toy. Or you would go multiple times just to see if you could get the right toy. Y'all remember the cereal boxes? Yeah. So there were these commercials, right? They say, eat this cereal because you might get such and such toy. Whatever it was at the time. We had kids who were actually going out of their way. We didn't have money, but our parents did. We had kids trying to make our parents buy several boxes of that cereal just to get just to get the prize. And those kids back then, many of them didn't even eat that cereal. They pour the whole bag out just to see if the prize was in the box. Well, I miss that type of stuff, man. If you were born in the 70s and 80s, you got even more stories than I do. If you're older than me, I want to hear your stories. Either in the comment section or make your own video talking about that stuff. Because if you have a cell phone, that's got everything on it. The yo-yo, the Rubik's Cube, the Tech Deck, Cartoon Network, Toonami. You can watch that stuff on your phone. You just can't have the personal relationship with the people in the same way you would if you never had the phone. Like, we used to come to school and have like meetings. We would have meetings about Dragon Ball Z, man. It wasn't like we were in a cult or anything like that. It could have been a cult. Check this out. So, when I was in like 3rd grade, 4th grade, my teacher would say, all right, kids, Now it's time for, I don't remember what they called it, but it's when you can pretty much just do whatever. You can read, you can draw, you can write. It was like happy hour, right? Read aloud is when the teacher would read aloud to us, whatever book, whatever novel we were on. But after that, you might have snack. And after snack, that's when you do free time or whatever they called it. Anyway, whenever that time was happening, me and like 3 other kids or 4, all boys, we would all gather together and get notebooks out, and we would either draw Dragon Ball Z or we would already have it drawn from yesterday, and we would show what we drew and share with each other. Okay, I made a story yesterday about this. Oh, okay. Well, I'm still working on this. Oh, well, you made his hair look like this. Well, my guy's hair looks like this. Or, oh, you got your eyebrows down. You know, that got us into drawing. And I'll make a separate video. Well, I actually already made a video about what Dragon Ball Z means to me. But we used to make friendships and establish real friendships off of cartoons. But we weren't so glued to the TV to where we didn't want to be around our friends. Like, our friends back then were more important to us than watching TV. Because you could still spend time with your friends outside of watching TV with your friends. We go over each other's house, but we're not watching TV the whole time. We might be outside. We might be playing video games. We might be walking around the neighborhood. And none of us had cell phones. But we all still somehow communicated. There was no social media. The only social media we had was MySpace. But that was when I was in 8th grade. That was fun. MySpace was the stuff. Yes, it was. But it was fun. Everybody on MySpace was partying. And it was harmless. There was no cursing, no drama, no profanity, no stupidity. And it was on the computer. It wasn't even on the phone. You know? Then Facebook came along. Then the rest was pretty much history. Now we're where we are now. Facebook sucks, by the way. MySpace was the best. Yes, it was. Back when Tom owned it. Shout out to Tom. But yeah, I was thinking about the barbershop thing. I'm like, man, because you know I collect toys for fun. I was thinking, man, I might just keep toys in my car just to give them out to kids. Whenever I see a kid with a cell phone, I'm just going to go to my car and come back and be like, hey, buddy, here, take this. What's this? It's a Batman, man. Here, it's yours. And then the mom going to be like, who are you? Just some guy trying to save your kid's life. You can thank me later. Nah, it's a shame. Because we grew up on Batman. Shows like Batman and Superman and Spider-Man, Gargoyles, Dragon Ball. Say what you want about good parenting, steering kids down the right direction. Yes. But many of those shows, man, those comics, like Spider-Man, for example, with great power comes great responsibility. Many of those programs helped kids' lives. There was value behind many of those shows. Y'all remember Captain Planet? they were trying to keep the Earth healthy. G.I. Joe. I mean, it's not just that phones are addicting, but there's nothing on the phone but smut. Just smut. What do I know? Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.